Wyoming's Health Watch, I'm attorney Jason Oakes, and here you'll learn the most up-to-date information about dangerous drugs, dangerous products, and safety news with hopes that it just might prevent a catastrophe. Let's get started.
Hello, and I hope this podcast finds you having enjoyed a nice holiday season and an excellent Christmas with family and friends. Today is December 30th, just 2 days, obviously, until January 1st, the beginning of a new year. And if you're like me, I like to always reflect every time about this time of year, reflect on the previous year, look at my wins, look at my losses, and figure out how I can make the upcoming year even a better year than the year I'm leaving behind. And I want to share one of the ways that I do that, and one of the ways that I regroup, refocus the approach to the new year with my businesses and with my firm. And I want to share this whether you are a lawyer listening or whether you're a businessman or woman or an entrepreneur. I believe that this information can provide you value moving forward into 2020. And I also think it can provide an opportunity for a New Year's resolution other than the typical one, which is drink less and work out more, or things of that nature. So here it goes. Take it as you wish. These are things that I'm not telling you to do. They're things that I have found in my practice and in my business ventures have been very successful. And I do this each and every year at this time of year so I can get refocused on what's important and get in the right mindset entering the new year. And I want to provide the top 3 items that I feel are most critical to the building of any business. And that is a business including obviously a law firm or an online business, a retail business, a service business, whatever it is. I believe it's applicable to all. It doesn't matter if you are a non-lawyer listening, you're going to get value out of this podcast. I want to start with number 1, and number 1 is incredibly important. It is vision. What is the vision of your business? And a business in the sense of what is it you are trying to accomplish? And I want to challenge you to be bold with your vision. I've been very bold in the past with my visions. They can be small visions. They can be grand visions. Visions are different than a goal. Goals are more short-term, although there can be certainly long-term goals. A vision is pliable. A vision is something substantive, and it is critically important because it will create the bedrock foundation for every decision that you make moving forward regarding your business. Okay, so let me give you an example. The visions that I have seen and spoken with other people about. I spoke to one just the other day, and her vision for her company was to be the most committed alcohol recovery counseling center in the Rocky Mountain region for women, which I thought was remarkable. I think there's a great opportunity for a number of businesses out there, regardless of whether it's alcohol or anything else, real estate, to cater to just women. That's a whole nother podcast. But if you're a woman listening to this podcast, think about your vision and consider if it might make sense for you to tweak it a little bit and make it just for something that's serving women only. I spoke to another woman about 6 months ago who has been highly successful in Colorado, starting a real estate company that is only serving women. It's been remarkably successful, and they have found that it's sometimes intimidating for women to go look at homes with men real estate agents, and they have been highly successful in doing this and promoting themselves as women only. And of course, it's only women running this real estate company. But in any event, that is a vision. So her vision for the real estate company is to provide the most excellent exclusive services for other women seeking residential homes in Colorado. That's a vision. That is different than a goal. A goal is I want to be first on Google search engine. A goal is I want to make $1 million next year. A goal, those are goals and those are good, but there's a difference between a vision and a goal. And again, I want to reemphasize this because it's so critical. A goal is something that gets you up in the morning and gets you working hard to try to accomplish that goal. But a goal doesn't necessarily drive each and every decision you make in your business. You may think it does, but it actually doesn't. Visions do that. And a vision, if a decision comes up in your business and it furthers your vision, then it is certainly a decision that would make sense for your business 9 times out of 10. If that issue or a decision comes up that does not further your vision, then 9 times out of 10 it's not something that you want to undertake. And this is critical when you talk about law firms, for example, and you can apply this to other companies, but lawyers in particular are very guilty for wanting to get the latest gizmos, the latest gadgets, the latest apps, the latest case management software, because they think that this is all going to have some sort of major impact that's going to impact their bottom line in an enormously successful way in the upcoming year. And that is where having goals can sometimes mislead you into saying, I need this new case management software, this new piece of a tech or this brand new computer because I think it's going to help me hit my numbers at the end of the year. Whereas perhaps your vision, if you think about your vision and say, I don't need this new computer, it doesn't advance my vision. My old computers are just fine right now. They're doing the job. They're getting everything done. I don't need the new app on my phone that's going to cost me $50 a month. That doesn't do anything for the furtherance of my vision for my company. There's the difference. So number one, vision. And I can't tell you how many times I talk to small businessmen and women and even lawyers. And lawyers are particularly vulnerable. And you ask them, what's the vision for their firm? And they go blank on you. They go totally dark. And they start kind of meandering around this, that, and the other thing. And before you know it, it's clear to you within a couple seconds that they have no vision for the firm. They have goals. They want to make X number of dollars next year. They want to be the biggest, baddest guy in town, but that's not a vision. And so I implore upon you, if you're listening to this podcast, to consider over the New Year break, to sit down and really come up with a vision for your firm and or your company. And if you need help in this regard, there's an excellent book called Traction. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Traction: Get a Grip on Your Business. It's written by Gino Wickman, and the other day I looked it up. It was $12 on Amazon, paperback. It's an excellent book. I don't get any sort of kickback by recommending this book. I share it with you because I found it extraordinarily helpful, not only in my firm, but also in other business ventures that I'm involved with, coming up with the vision for my firm, the vision for my businesses, and it has been incredibly persuasive in that regard. So check out Traction by Gino Wickman if you need some further help on coming up with your vision. And that's number one, vision. Number two is self-awareness. And this seems really obvious and real simple, but it is so not. The more I talk to lawyers, the more I talk to businessmen and women, many of them have incredible problems with self-awareness. And what do I mean by self-awareness? This is acknowledging and having the time to reflect and identifying what you're good at and what you're not good at. What is it that you really love and what is it that you are not particularly fond of? This will also help you with your vision. Let me give an example. I talk to a lot of younger lawyers and they all want to be the next biggest, baddest trial lawyer in the country. And that is a vision. I mean, you need to refine that a little bit, but that is a vision. But they lack, some of them, quite frankly, the vast majority of them lack self-awareness. And what does I mean by that? Is that they're not doing what it takes to become the best trial lawyer in the country. They're not trying cases. They're working in a cubicle as a law clerk or as an associate for another lawyer who is going to court. I mean, they're not even getting into court to argue simple motions. And that is a problem. That is not going to serve their vision. Let me give an example of how a lawyer in that circumstance who has a vision to become the best trial lawyer in his state, in his or her state, but is otherwise in a cubicle, that lawyer, if they're committed to the vision, will acknowledge and have the self-awareness, if they truly believe that this is what they want to do, that their current position is not going to get them there. And they would be well served to take most likely a pay cut and go to the district attorney's office or go to the public defender's office where they will try cases day in and day out, and they will get the experience they need to fulfill their vision over time. Okay. That going back to self-awareness, a lot of people like the idea of being a trial lawyer, but if they lack the self-awareness, they lack the ability to acknowledge that maybe that's not for them. For example, entrepreneurs. Some entrepreneurs, it always sounds good. Everybody's an entrepreneur online. Everybody talks about they themselves being the next Mark Zuckerberg, excuse me. But people who have self-awareness, let me give an example. Many people are very risk adverse. They become sweaty. Their hands get clammy anytime they think about something that requires risk. To be a true entrepreneur, you have to be one who is willing to engage in risk. There's no question. And if you know and you have the self-awareness to acknowledge that you are one that is simply adverse to risk, and adverse in so much of a way that you're simply never going to fulfill the vision of being the next Mark Zuckerberg, or even something much less, the next entrepreneur in your city. That's wonderful self-awareness, because here's what you can do with that self-awareness. You may, because of your aversion to risk, you may be a phenomenal number 3 or number 4 man or woman in a large corporation like Google or Facebook or Dropbox, any of these huge tech companies. Those number 2, number 3, number 4 people, they want to be risk adverse. They want to balance out the number 1 guy who is willing to engage in risk. So there is no harm, and there is certainly no disrespect whatsoever in being the number 2, number 3, and number 4 person. And frankly, many of those 3, 4, and 5 people make an enormous amount of money and are very successful. But they have the self-awareness to realize that it is not in their DNA, if you will, to be the number 1 guy who's willing to take on the risk. On the other hand, if you are someone who's willing to take on the risk, then it probably doesn't make sense for you to be the yes man as a number 3, a number 4, number 5 person who's always putting pencil to paper and adverse to taking on risks. Then you might just be made for entrepreneurship. You just might be made to go out and start the next major business in your community. So have that self-awareness. Also, if you're a lawyer and you love to write and you get nervous every time you get before a court, and you don't sleep at night before you go to court, and you almost feel like you want to throw up every time you have to get before a judge. And there are many lawyers out there like that. But you love to write and you love to come up with creative arguments and briefing and in motions and even in appeals. You have a tremendous opportunity to do extraordinarily well. But have the self-awareness to know that that is your skill, that is your strength. And then craft your vision around that self-awareness. It is critically important. If you are building a company or a firm that has that you're trying to build without you and being involved, then you need to come up with a way to create that vision that doesn't include you in every facet of that firm. And I know many people who are trying one day to create a firm or even a business that they can sell one day. If they want to do that, you need to start thinking about how to get a vision together that doesn't include you in every single facet of that company or law firm. So number 1, vision. Number 2, self-awareness. Self-awareness is tough because there may be some real reality checks you need to give yourself that may be initially hard to acknowledge, i.e. you think you've been wanting to be a litigator your whole life, but you finally come to the conclusion that's not for you. So that may be hard initially, but then you later come to the conclusion that you are a phenomenal rainmaker. And you can go out and get business in just about any sort of scenario. That is a remarkable skill that many people and many companies will pay big dollars for. If you're one of these individuals who goes to conferences and loves meeting people and getting to know people and following up with them, that may be your special place. So give yourself an opportunity over this holiday to really reflect on what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and first do that before you start crafting a vision, because that will assist you in creating a scenario that is going to be most successful for you and your vision. And then finally, and this is what everybody talks about but very few people do. Number 3, execution. You got to go out and do it. Again, that's what I was saying about the guy or gal who's sitting there saying, I want to be the next baddest trial lawyer in the country, then you better start doing that now. You need to execute. You need to go work for a firm that's going to promise you'll be in court every other week. If you can't get that, if you can't find that, go take a pay cut, go work for a public defender, go work for the district attorney, and get in court every single week. Whether it's a preliminary hearing, whether it's motions to suppress, whether it's trials, you are constantly in court, and that is going to further your vision. If you sit back and you remain in your cubicle, you remain as associate, helping out the partners however you can, you're going to start to resent the partners. You're going to start getting depressed about your life. And the one thing you're going to have to think about is, did you take ownership when you had an opportunity to execute? Did you do it? And if you didn't, why not? And if you did not, you have to take ownership for that. Don't blame that on your boss. Don't blame that on your mom and dad or your brother or your spouse. That's on you. Execution is the difference maker between those who I find have great success and those who are in dead-end jobs, who don't go anywhere and want to go out and get drinks with you and complain about what's going on. They're not executing. They're not fulfilling their vision. They probably don't even have a vision, so they don't know how to execute. So all of these things work together. If you have a vision, you then know the decisions that are in furtherance of your vision immediately, or you know that those decisions that are not in furtherance of your vision need to be discarded immediately. It makes it very simple. Self-awareness will drive your vision. Okay, if you know what you're successful at, you know what your strengths are, you will know how to craft a successful vision. If you're unable to have self-awareness and unable to be honest about yourself, you're going to struggle with your vision. And then third, you got to execute. And it's real simple to execute when you have a vision. When you know, as long as the day is bright, what your vision is and what you want to accomplish, then it is very easy to execute. However, the far majority of you will not put together these pieces because it's just the way it is. It's a little too much work. You're not quite sure where to start, and many of you are scared to fail. That's okay, because failing happens to all of us. I've yet to meet a successful businessman or businesswoman. I've yet to meet a successful lawyer who didn't have countless failures along the way. So embrace the opportunity to fail. You're going to fail, and it's okay, and it's going to make you great. I promise you that, but you have to execute. And if you don't execute, you're going to get in a dead-end position and never move and never accomplish what your fulfillment in life is. I hope this brings you value. I hope this brings you encouragement. And if you're listening to this, go ahead and stop listening, order the book Traction, start working on your vision. And while you're waiting for that book to arrive, start really reflecting about your strengths and weaknesses and what you want to accomplish in 2020. I believe in you. I suspect you'll have a phenomenal 2020 if you put these pieces into place. They've worked for me each and every time. I reload on these each and every year at this time of year. It provides for a renewal opportunity to look ahead and get optimistic and get back grounded with my vision, with my self-awareness, with my execution, because I've learned over every single year my self-awareness will change at times. What I was self-aware about, the things I wanted to accomplish 5 years are not the same things that I'm self-aware about what I want to accomplish today, 5 years later. So do this every year. Have it as part of your holiday break to reflect, and you will be successful, and your company or firm will thrive in 2020. Have a great day. I'm Jason Oakes, and Happy New Year.